Okay, hello again. It's the 25th of January 2015, and this video is called What Position Does the Tarot Speak From? And so, if somebody has a mystical point of view, they can look at tarot cards and they'll find mystical truth, right, and a kind of uplifting message in the cards themselves. Whereas somebody else might have a belief in evil and the power of darkness to control human life or the events that we experience. So when that person looks at those same tarot cards, they're going to see how and where evil will affect the questioner's life. And this video is called What Position Does the Tarot Speak From? Because I want to suggest that the tarot isn't just a mirror that reflects the ideas and beliefs of the reader, right? And so you can think that maybe really the tarot is just our psychic self that is going to come up with the information or make the connections. So I want to make one point that I think shows that there is that there's more to the tarot than just what the reader has in mind or has in their mind at that moment, and that the tarot is much more complete than maybe we give it credit for. And the point is this: there are 12 months in a year, right? So the number 12, or 12 is a number of completion, or wholeness, or a full cycle, right? We go from beginning through the middle to the end, followed by a new beginning, which it may be different from the previous beginning, even though they're both starting points. So 12 and completion go together. In the same way, there are 12 signs of the zodiac. And the zodiac, in its own way, again, it's a complete cycle or a full range of experiences. Okay? So, if you add the numbers 1 through 12, you get 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15, plus 6 is 21, plus 7 is 28, plus 8 is 36, plus 9 is 45, plus 10 is 55, plus 11 is 66, plus 12 is 78. So this is a number of cards in a tarot deck. So it may just be coincidence that when you add up these numbers that make up the number 12, that you end up with the number of cards that we use in a tarot deck. It may be coincidence, but I don't think so. So when we first read that or discover that there are 78 cards in a deck, it seems like an odd number, but you accept it and you think nothing of it. But you don't see immediately that there's a connection with a full cycle, or that in some way the tarot contains everything. So this makes me think that when we deal with the tarot, we're working with something that is already full and complete in itself, right? 78 cards. And it's not just a mirror where we see our own limited understanding or our own limited point of view. So, if we know our opinion on what position the tarot speaks from, I think it gives us a more dependable way of judging the accuracy of our readings, as well as giving more information or giving more generally to the questioner. Because the thing is an accurate reading when our predictions come true? Or is an accurate reading where the reader describes and explains what's going on in enough detail that the questioner can then go off and make better decisions about how to live? And I think the second position is more correct, that's an accurate reading if you can help the questioner understand their place in the situation that's going on at the moment and show how to, what would be productive lines of development. I think that's an accurate reading, rather than forecasting or predicting that on the 14th of October you're going to meet Bill and he'll be 4 foot or 6 foot 10 and whatever it happens to be. So, in this video I'd like to consider what we think the tarot is for, or what kind of information we're getting when we interpret cards. And I'd like to refer to a fellow called Eli Gold right here. And Eli was a physicist, right? And he was big on cause and effect, which is sort of physics. So his point was, if you don't like the effect, change the cause, rather than do what most people do, which is try to or get involved with the effect or the result or the outcome and try to change it by itself, while ignoring what brought about this particular outcome. So Eli did a lot of work with businesses and manufacturing, and he was kind of an efficiency expert, and he got good results with various ideas about how to organize a business, and his teachings are generally referred to as a theory of constraints. So, for instance, you figure out where the bottleneck is in a manufacturing process, and then you organize production so that you don't have a lot of inventory tied up before the bottleneck, but you organize things so that the bottleneck area or the bottleneck stage works at 100% efficiency. And so that's the most efficient way of doing things. So he also talks in part about how a department in a company can make decisions or set things up that is good for that particular department, that suits itself and its own needs. So it's the best they can do, but it may not be best for the company as a whole. So there's a difference between what he calls local optima, what's best locally, or what's best optima in a particular department, and that's the local optima, and the global optima, what's best for the company as a whole. And you can see the sense of this, that what one individual does may be good for that individual, but it doesn't maybe help the whole company. So, what if the tarot speaks to us from the point of view of the global optima instead of the local optima? What if a card shows what's best for the whole person, and not just for the fearful or doubtful part of the personality that's asking the question and that has concerns at the time of asking? So it's as if when we turn a card, we should read it as if it's speaking from the point of view of the whole life, the global optima, and not from the point of view of the current worry or anxiety or the current concern about the difficult condition that the questioner is asking about. So, because somebody might feel stuck, right? They feel trapped in a particular situation, and their instinct is to get out of it and to get free, and that's what they're looking for with a tarot reading. How do I get out of this tricky situation, or whatever it is that they see as a problem to be solved, or as a condition that needs to be changed or fixed? So they're stuck, and they want to get moving. But from the point of view of the whole life, it might be wiser or more beneficial or more advisable to stay in the difficulty for a while longer. Because if you stay there, you're going to learn something important and valuable, and it'll mean that you don't have to go through that experience ever again. Or if it's a sort of problem that you can't ever completely solve, that's going to come back, it's going to keep cropping up from time to time, you're going to learn how to lessen its effects in the future, or how to solve the problem quicker in the future, because of what you learn by staying with the problem past the time you think you should leave. So, this approach of looking at the whole life view, or seeing the tarot as speaking from the point of view of the whole life, it can get the reader thinking about reasons for situations and lessons going on in the life of the questioner, and that can help the reader suggest and the questioner come up with wiser choices or make better decisions. It's a bit like having the point of view of an eagle, right? So you're an eagle and you've got this phenomenal eyesight, and you're high above the earth and you're seeing what's going on left and right and up and down and around. So imagine the eagle watching somebody driving along a road. And so the eagle can see all around, and the eagle can project ahead and see what difficulties lie ahead, and maybe what detour ought to be taken. Or so it can look and see if a problem up ahead is going to be easy to get by, if it's just a small obstacle. Or maybe the eagle can see if it's a major difficulty that's never going to be solved. Maybe there's a huge hole in the road that's never going to be filled in, right? So the eagle knows that you're better off to take a different route, or take a detour, or change your direction, or go in a very different very different location. And you can see all this from a high position, but not if you're on the road looking straight ahead. So, can we also interpret a card or various combinations of cards to have this level of insight or this overview? And in this way, the reader can give better or more appropriate information and better help to the questioner. So when we're doing a reading, is it going to be local or global Optima? And I hope this all makes sense. Next, I'm thinking of next weekend, beginning of February, and it's going to be about court cards. And I want to begin with something along the lines of, when you turn a court card, first thing is, don't panic. You don't have to know the name of the person and their date of birth and with their blood type and what they had for breakfast that morning. That may seem like the ideal information to give the questioner, but it's very limited, because the court card could represent the questioner, or it could represent somebody the questioner already knows or is going to know, or it could represent a kind of situation the questioner is going to have to deal with, or two or all three possibilities. So by limiting it to Bill, who's 5'10", that's not that good, even though it seems like what we all ought to be aiming for. So I want to show you some various information about court cards, so that the next time you turn a court card, you're not going to panic, and you're just going to relax and know how to deal sensibly with any court card that comes up in any reading. So that's it for the moment. Thanks for watching, and have a good week. Okay, bye-bye.